Hello there, Star Wars fans, and welcome to a RebelScum.com video. And today I am joined by one of the owners of RebelScum.com, Joshua Durazo. So, Joshua, you've been in the collectible industry for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So, how did you come into possession of RebelScum.com?
Oh, you're starting off with the question that's going to take the longest answer?
Yeah.
Okay, so like he said, I've been in the collectibles industry literally since as long as I can remember. What I did with my parents, they were both in the military. What I did with them to spend time as a family was we would go and check out flea markets, garage sales, comic book shows, toy shows. My first Comic-Con was when I was 3 months old, and with the exception of COVID, been to at least one a month since then, and I'm about to be 36. So
That's quite a bit.
for the last 12 years, my father and I have owned and operated Order 66 Toys, based out of Dallas, Texas. Well, technically Allen, Texas, but people know Dallas. So December of 2019, we split Order 66 into two separate brands. So I took Order 66 Prime, and my father now runs Order 66 Toys Expanded Universe. Everybody knows Order 66 Toys. It's officially, it is the nation's official collectible Star Wars toy store and part of the Star Wars network, according to Disney. So that kind of got my foot in the door and had a lot of the right people watching what we were doing. For the last 3 years, Order 66 Toys has hosted, well, Bobby has hosted, and Order 66 has operated Order 66 Toys Live every single Friday night. As a matter of fact, the day that we're recording this video is our 3rd anniversary. So people started taking notice, people started seeing what we were doing, and they started seeing that instead of being worried about selling toys or making a huge profit or really anything, I don't want to be egotistical, but instead of doing things for personal gain or for selfish reasons, we always did things with the community at heart. And my ethics or my morals about the whole thing is if we take care of the community will take care of us. So through several interactions where we proved to the right people that that's how we do business and it's not just a show, we were approached to come out and have a conversation with Mr. Philip Wise. And Philip was looking for somebody to take over the legacy of the site and make sure that not only did we keep the original fans of the site happy, but we also brought some new eyes to the site and focus on some different demographics, including a lot of social media stuff, a lot of video content, and a lot of community-based interactions. So we sat down, we had a meeting, and I had no idea that that's what the meeting was about. I thought that I was there to buy some toys for our live show. And he said, what would you think about purchasing the website? And it's like, well, honestly, I mean, you were there. Mm-hmm. The question is, why me? Mm-hmm. And it all came back to everything that we've tried to do through and with the community. We had a very successful, during COVID, a very successful campaign against cancer. And it was hashtag Execute Cancer, which we raised, ban cancer. Yeah. Well, it was Execute Cancer, and then that was the Banter's t-shirt,
right,
which is off screen. So we did we've done some pretty cool stuff for the community, and the community is always taking care of us. And that's, I guess, what Philip was looking for to go forward into the future. And that's how it happened.
And then after a decent amount of time, papers were signed.
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of due diligence and making sure that everybody was happy with the deal, because the site is over 25 years old now, and Philip wanted to make sure that certain things on the site, like the forums, were not altered in any negative fashion, that we weren't going to go in there and start banning people over anything than something that they might deserve, like not being family friendly or breaking the rules of the community, which literally the only plan that we have for the forum currently is to clarify some of the rules, like
the pre-existing rules, and clarifying some stuff against cyberbullying. And when the site first came up, when the site first came into existence over 25 years ago, those were not terms that you had to worry about, like cyberbullying. It was just an informational source. And that's we have to update a couple of things. We have to bring the photo archive up to date, and we have to make sure that current news and current stuff is being shared on a daily basis. New content is our main concern. And I've probably said it 10,000 times since the day I've signed the paperwork. The goal is to make rebelscum.com the complete toolbox for Star Wars collectors. And that's our only goal. And let's move past that a little bit. Let's talk about why you do what you do in the community. Why Star Wars?
Why Star Wars? So back to my parents being in the military. 1995, I started, it was always Ninja Turtles and Silverhawks and Thundercats and stuff like that for me growing up. And in 1995, I had a modest Star Wars collection growing up from the 80s, from the 70s, stuff that I had found at garage sales and flea markets and so on. And I was always very cognizant of the values of things. And even back then, I would source out any piece of information I could on, what's important, what's the value of this item, what's the variant, how can I find this item, when did it come out, so on and so forth. So in 95, I started buying all of the Star Wars toys that I could, and making sure that the kids in my neighborhood had access to the kind of stuff that I thought that they should have access to. The cup hand Han Hoth, or the 3-ring belt Princess Leia. And that just never really stopped. So going all the way through from 95 up to current, that's just always been something that I have done. And then about 12 years ago, when we started Order 66 Toys, obviously it became much easier, because that's my sole focus. And when you start whenever you take a hobby, you start doing it professionally, and you're not really worried about the money, it becomes a lot of fun. And they always say, do what you love for a living and you'll never work a day in your life. And that's, for 12 years, that's how it's been. Now, the way that I got into this business professionally is something totally different, but you haven't asked about that.
Well, let's move on to that. How'd you get into it? How'd you start?
I had cancer from the age of 12 to 18, esophageal, and there was a couple of times that I was almost out of here. Luckily, I started dating a really fantastic woman that I'm still with, And we've been together for a long time now and married with 3 kids. And she's always been very supportive of whatever decisions I make professionally. So it got to the point where I got past being sick and I was working at the corporate level for Walmart. So I was the one that designed the modulars and wrote up the planograms and looked at, why is this item selling out at this location, but at this other location in the same region, we're not selling any. That's what I did. Of course, you know that. Bobby gets mad at me because every time we walk into a Walmart for any reason that I had anything to do with, he's like, "Oh, let me guess, you worked here." No. I was doing that, and I was in a freezer at a Walmart here in North Texas, helping a department manager, and I passed out and I smacked my face on a cart, and I ended up in the hospital, and we had no idea what was going on, and I had been in a lot of pain and hadn't felt well for a couple of days at that point. And they said, "Okay, well, we have no idea what's going on with you. Cancer's not back. You're still fine. You're still, 125 surgeries later plus." I was really hoping I wasn't sick again, but they couldn't figure out what was going on. Long story short, ended up leaving Walmart, and literally within a week of all of that happening, my father had moved from Tampa to North Texas. My wife and I were getting ready to have our second child, and he had retired, and he wanted to be here for the birth of his granddaughter. So his second granddaughter. The decision was made very quickly that I was pushing myself too hard and working way too many hours. I was working 60 to 80 hours a week every single week and not taking days off. And, it was affecting family life. Anyways, got to the point where I said, I'd rather be doing literally anything else. And a lot of people that are watching are probably stuck in that same position. So the decision was made, I want to take everything I've learned from this job, which was considerable, and I want to do something for myself. And my father and I got very lucky. We bought a piece of property that was really great for what we wanted to do. We ended up putting a toy store in there. It's called Epic Toys. So after being there for about 18 months, a guy came in and he bought everything except for the Star Wars stuff. The Star Wars stuff, he said he had no interest in because he was a Trekkie. Okay, cool. Star Wars section was not very big, so we took a little break. The store was empty, and we got extremely lucky, and we bought a couple of large Star Wars collections. And honest to goodness, we made a bet, and I said, "Hey, if the store is still full enough to stay in business and we show a profit by January 1st, this was August 1st that the decision was made. So by January 1st, if we were still in good shape with stock and we had a profit, we were going to rebrand permanently." And that was 12 years ago. I know that was a bit of a rant.
Yeah, but I mean, that's important information to why we're here now, right?
It's
a long journey, but
man, it's been a long journey. But the focus, and I got on the rant and I didn't even mention it. The focus the entire time was the community, and when that's always at the back of your mind, like, okay, how often is this item available for sale?
Mm-hmm.
And how often is that item overcharged for, or people are not educated about what it is? and they end up being taken advantage of. The goal has always been, let's put a stop to that. Let's make stuff available at an affordable price. If somebody has a question about something, our job is to educate them as best as we can. And if it's an item that we don't know enough about, like a rocket firing Boba Fett or a burgundy coat Bib Fortuna, our job is to make sure that before somebody spends thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on an item like that, that they're educated.
Right.
And that's where we're at now. Now we have the platform with rebelscum.com to make sure the education is there, to make sure that noted experts in certain items have the platform to help educate. We're working on a couple of price guides that we're going to put on the website. Long-term goal is to have a checklist that isn't an app that you can get on your phone.
Right. Eventually.
Well, I mean, that's a lot of work. First thing that we have to do is update the photo archives.
Right. Photo archives need to be updated and completed.
Updated and completed with all the variants.
Right.
With everything. So those are the goals. And of course, as you're watching this video, guys, if you have anything that you would like to see rebelscum.com put forth, any practices that you'd like to see us execute, any questions, anything like that, make sure that you comment them, because we will be monitoring the comments on all of our video content very closely, because that's what we've been doing for the last 3 years with Order 66 Toys. We've always interacted with people through comments on videos. The difference now is we have a really great editor. So at some point we'll do a introductory video with Joey. We'll get Liam, who's our head writer for all of our original written content. And we'll do these kind of videos with all of them. I want everybody to feel comfortable with the team that's coming in. And I'm still meeting a lot of the existing team with Rebel Scum. So, we're not planning on changing anything. We're not planning on getting rid of your favorite content provider. We're not doing any of that. All that we're doing is trying to add to it and get some new eyes on the franchise that we all love. What else you got?
All right, Josh, my final 2 questions are, what is your favorite Star Wars character? And the second question is, what is your favorite Star Wars action figure? And it doesn't necessarily have to be your favorite character.
It definitely isn't.
Okay.
And you know that already.
Well, I know that.
So we're going to start with the easy one first. My favorite Star Wars action figure has a lot to do with the fact that as a young adult, while in college, I had to stop collecting for a little bit. While what I really wanted to do was continue buying and selling Star Wars toys, it just wasn't in the cards with paying for school and getting ready to get married and everything that was going on. So I walk into Walmart. I want to say it was April 2nd, 2005. And one of the figures that I saw was not supposed to be out yet. And it was the burnt Anakin action figure from episode 3. I don't know why I love it so much. It just seemed like I got incredibly lucky finding it. There was no reason it should have even been out. It was like the first night. It was basically what we have now. It's called a Force Friday, but it was before they did any of that. So it was in a case that was misshipped, and I was the only one at that store hunting for the stuff. And my soon-to-be wife was there with me, and it was just a very, very vivid experience finding that. And I'm like, oh man, that's got to be some kind of spoiler or something. There's no reason that we should have this figure out before the movie even comes out. So, yeah, that's got to be my favorite Star Wars action figure. Other than it looking cool and the memories that I have associated with finding it, I couldn't explain why. Honestly, there's a lot of feelings I have about Anakin as a character. Mostly positive, but he's definitely not my favorite character. Now, the other question that you asked is, what is my favorite character in Star Wars?
Correct.
You guys are going to hate me, but I have to be honest. It's Kylo Ren. I don't know why. Well, I do know why.
Kylo's cool.
Growing up, watching Star Wars all the time, especially when I was sick, I would just put the movies on and be taken away to somewhere else. Kylo or Ben Solo, whatever you want to call him, to me, even though some of the sequels are very divisive, always immediately had a place in my heart, even from the first scene that he was in The Force Awakens. And it was like, wow, this dude is extremely powerful. I mean, he just stops a blaster bolt
Midair. Yeah.
midair.
Yep. First time we ever saw that.
Yeah, I had never seen in all of the canon up to that point, or Legends, I'd never heard of or seen another character do that. And Ben, to me, is the culmination of the main three characters from the original trilogy, all of the stuff that they had gone through. I mean, for being honest, they got to have some form of PTSD at this point.
Sure.
You know, they probably, all that they wanted, Han and Leia, all that they wanted was for their son to have a better life than they did and to kind of protect him from all that. So, you know, then we find out what happened to him and why he is the way that he is in, you know, the later sequel movies. And then we finally get the redemption. And if you were to ask me, you didn't ask me, but if you were to ask me what my favorite Star Wars movies are, it's going to be the third movie in each trilogy are my top three, hands down. And it's always that the end of the story arc, and it's just always resonated with me. Some of my other favorite movies are going to be the end of the trilogy, just not Godfather, because that was not good. So to have a character that very truly represents, here's where he was, here's how he got there, and then here's the redemption. And through everything, he still was able to redeem himself. And that's a big deal for me. He could have been written better. It could have been filmed better. But it's Star Wars, and for God's sakes, we're going to love it anyways, because that's what the website's about.
That's right.
So, you got anything else for me?
That's it. So thank you so much for coming on with us, for introducing yourself to rebelscum.com. Guys, make sure you like and subscribe and tune into more rebelscum.com content. And if you have any questions for Josh, well, please leave them in the comments of this video.
Or if you have anything urgent, please just email me at joshua@rebelscum.com, and it's going to go right there to the phone or to the laptop, and I check them 100 times a day. So if you have anything urgent or concerns or any questions, just let me know. You know, this is a big part of what we're doing is we want to be extremely approachable. And it's Bobby@rebelscum.com, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just shoot us an email if you have any questions. But the best way, the most direct way, is probably just comment on these videos, guys.
That's right.
So, or just start a thread in the forum.
Mm-hmm.
My wife Heather she's going to be one of the main forum administrators now, and you know, everybody on the team has different positions, but the main goal is to reach out to the audience and make sure that you guys are getting the content that you want when you want it, and for us to be approachable while taking care of the community.
And there you go. So guys, make sure you like, subscribe, leave some comments, and follow us on our social media as well. Thank you so much for tuning in today, guys. We'll see you guys later. We'll see you another time. And may the force be with all of you, you rebel scum.
Love you guys.